Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a dolphin skin tutorial. This is another strobing and highlighting technique, and it's essentially the goal to, get your skin looking wet and shiny like dolphin skin, but you don't want the skin to feel wet and tacky. So it's just getting a lot of reflective shine and using the right products to really get that shimmering glossy look without it being overpoweringly sticky. And this tutorial is sponsored by Pat McGrath, so I'm very excited. We'll be using a few Pat McGrath products throughout this tutorial. First thing I'm going to do is prime the skin. I'm using the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Primer. Just take a couple pumps. I like to warm it up in my hands and then blend this all over. It's going to give you that really soft, blurred out canvas. So just lightly all over. Let me get the forehead too. And then I'll give this a moment to settle down. Next, I'm gonna be taking the Becca Under Eye Brightener. This one is in medium to deep. I've really been liking using this underneath foundation because sometimes I don't even have to use under eye concealer, or it just gives you that like added bit of brightness that everybody really wants. So I just put this on the darkest parts of my eye and then blend it out with a little brush. And you really do just need a light veil of this to help with that under eye brightening. I really feel like it makes such a big difference pretty instantly, right under the dark spots on my eyes. Now I'm going to be applying an all-over illuminating base. So I'm going to be using the Dior Backstage Illuminator, and I'm going to mix in some of the Bite Changemaker primer. This one's in the normal to dry skin version. Now what I like about this is you can use it as a primer, but it's also a really great mixing medium because it is quite lotion-like in formulation. And then I'm just going to pick up this mixture off the back of my hand, and I'm gonna lightly start applying this all over my skin. Just in a slight stippling motion. And you do want this layer to be pretty intensely illuminating because we're gonna put foundation on top. So I still want it to have the ability to peek out from behind the foundation. I also have a pretty large zit right there, so I'm just avoiding putting illuminator on that pimple. All right, now that we've got this really great all over illuminated base, I'm gonna go back in with those Dior illuminating drops. And what I'm gonna do is take a smaller brush, one that's a little bit more precise, and I'm going to put this right only on the highest points of the face. So for me, I really like putting it on the cheekbone because that's where you do want that dolphin skin shine. So just stippling those drops right on the highest points. And I know the illuminator looks a little crazy at this stage, but once we put the foundation on top, you'll see how much of a difference it makes. So like I just really want the most reflection to be off the tops of my cheekbones, but you could also do it on the chin, the Cupid's bow, a little bit on the nose, right above the eyebrows. I'm gonna take my beauty blender and then the Tatcha Dewy Luminous Mist. Just spray this sponge down. And I'm just lightly stippling the sponge on this edge so that I can cover more of the face. Still avoiding that pimple as much as possible. Foundation is gonna be the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish in the shade Medium 17. This one's really nice, light and fluid, and it has great coverage that you can, I was looking for my beauty blender, but it's got really great coverage that you can customize because it layers really well. So just gonna pick this up on my sponge and start lightly stippling this all over. I'm gonna start off with just one light layer, and then we'll like reassess and decide if we want to go in with another. A sponge is also preferred for this application because you're just stippling on the foundation and you're not moving around the illuminator underneath. Whereas if I was using a brush, I would be doing more of a buffing motion. So I do think a sponge is a little bit more useful for this technique. And while I'm waiting for this foundation to set down, I'm going to be using some concealer just to do a little bit of spot concealing. This is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Concealer in M17. I'm gonna pop that right under my eyes. I do want my under eyes to be extra bright. This concealer also shears out quite nicely. So if you want it to be more on the natural side and less full coverage, you can just shear it out. I want a little bit of extra coverage because I just want my under eyes to look really bright and awake. I'm gonna put some on the eyelids too, just to prime for some shadow. And now you can see everything is actually setting down really nicely. There's a lot of reflection and shine on the high points, but it's not overpowering. Like, you do get that really beautiful, wet, sheeny glow. I'm gonna quickly set down the under eyes, just the under eyes. I wanna let the foundation and everything settle down a bit before I do like my full powder. So I'm just gonna use the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Powder. I'm gonna do a really quick eyeshadow look. I'm gonna use the Pat McGrath Mothership palette. So I'm gonna put some shadows on and then I'll be right back. I just wanted to do like a really reflective eye that catches the light, looks a little bit glossy and glowy, so it really goes with the skin. So I'm gonna move in and do a light contour. I'm gonna use Benefit Hoola. Just a light chisel to help bring back some definition. And I'll also take it around the perimeter of my face. I did want to do a little bit of a contour because we're going to be using a luminous bronzer, so I wanted to make sure that there was still a little bit of definition in the face, but luminous bronzer is really going to be the big key here because you want the bronze to be reflective and really, you know, bounce the light around your face. So I'm going to use the bronzer from Natasha Denona. This is the Tan Bronze and Glow palette. I'm going to start back here by the hairline and just lightly swirl it and bring it into the cheek area, just lightly dabbing it, but it's really warm. So I do want to be careful about not overdoing it with this shade. I just want to use it for its warmth and strategically keep it on certain parts of the face. And then whatever's left on the brush, I can lightly pull more into the center of my face. I'm also going to use a luminous blush. I'm going to use the Hourglass Nude Ambient Lighting Blush, and I'm just going to lightly apply this right to the apples of my cheeks. And because this is a luminous blush, you'll see that the apple of the cheek will really start to glow. But again, I do have that pimple right there, so I'm just carefully avoiding putting anything shiny on that pimple. Inevitably, it's going to get a little bit, but not too much. So just lightly tapping this right on the apples. All right, I'm gonna fill in my eyebrows and then I'll be right back. Here's the skin after everything's had a couple moments to really settle down, and I feel like you can see that wherever I move my face, you really get a lot of reflection and it looks tight and shiny like dolphin skin. But if you do want to take it to the next level and you do really want to boost the reflection, the biggest tip I can give you is use one of the highlights in your collection that's a little bit more of a soft filtered looking highlight, not something that's going to be an intense strobe. And I really think the best way to apply it is to buff it into the skin. If you use a really dense, tight packed brush, you're going to look stripy. So I'm going to use the YSL All Over Glow and my favorite highlighting buffing brush, and just lightly graze the high points of this face, like right about here. Like, I don't want it to look metallic and fake, so I'm just gonna lightly buff that on the high points. And this is really taking the highlight there. Like, you're really gonna get some more intense shimmer. Now I'm gonna do mascara, and I'm gonna do the Pat McGrath Dark Star Mascara, but I need to do one light coat of waterproof mascara because that mascara is not waterproof, so it won't hold a curl on my lashes unless I do a little bit of waterproof. This is the Dior Show mascara. You all know if I don't put a base of waterproof down, I can put this on and then 5 minutes later my eyelashes go completely straight. and you don't even get to see the effect of the mascara. So I wanted to just make sure to do that. I have never used a mascara like this Pat McGrath one. The formulation is what I think is the most unique about it. First of all, I love the bristle brush, but it gives you length and wispiness, and I love the formula because it's drier. It's on the drier side, and I love the formula because it gives you so much wispiness. I think most of you know wispy and length are the two favorite things I love about a mascara. So if I can get a wispy lengthening mascara, I'm gonna like it, and I really like this one. I'll take my lash comb and just go in and separate the lashes so I can do a couple more coats. And this also looks so nice on the bottom lashes. And then to keep up with, you know, the glossy reflective skin, I'm gonna use a lip gloss. This is the Pat McGrath Faux Real Lust Gloss. Right, and here is the Dolphin skin. As you can see, just the skin reflects back light from everywhere. It's just a very strobed, flawless looking base technique. One thing I really want to say, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this tutorial is that be as mindful as you possibly can with your foundation and concealer and the amount of coverage that you're applying, because I cannot tell you, I think it took me 5 or 6 times to get this down to a way that, was my necklace back showing the whole time in this video?
Your booty.
Anyway, being mindful of the amount of coverage that you're using on your base is gonna be the biggest thing, because if you're using too much coverage, it gets really gaudy looking really fast. The amount of highlight and illuminator that is on the skin can really put this in a territory of looking very bad very quick, because there were so many times that I was testing this out and I would look in the mirror and I would be like, oh, it looks great. But then I would go step into any type of natural lighting, like in front of the window, for example, and it was horrible. It just looked so bad. I felt like I didn't look like myself. And that's another thing I was noticing when I did see some Insta tutorials to get some inspiration for this tutorial. I noticed people were using just gobs and gobs of liquid highlight, and I did try it because I thought that's how you do it, but then it just takes so much foundation coverage to cover up the intense liquid strobe, so on and so forth. Just, it's more so a technique of really layering and using a lot of illuminator and strobe, but still trying to get somewhat of a real looking complexion so that it doesn't look completely, you know, just like a giant beacon bursting of light on your face. You want that dolphin skin. You don't want Tin Man, you want dolphin. With that being said, products will be linked in the description box down below. You can shop all of the Pat McGrath products in the description box, and come follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel if you haven't earlier. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye.